I don't even know how I'm going to start this, and it's something that I feel I really need to do. We have dealt with so much with losing our son, and it has been the hardest roller coaster that I think anybody could deal with. Losing a child, there's not even words for it. It's so hard. Tatum Tatum was just amazing, and he had just the best smile, and he looked so serious, and then his face would just light up, and that smile, it was just contagious. And he was perfect, and he looked like my husband, and he looked like my father, and those are the two most important people in my life. And then I have this little boy, and he's it. He's been what I have been waiting for my entire life. When we had him December 7th, 2012, and we didn't know if we were having a boy or girl, and that was by choice. And we didn't have a name picked out. We had some ideas, but nothing that ever like struck us. And when Tatum arrived, and my husband just looked at me and said that we have a little boy, and I just felt like my chest exploded. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter if it was a boy or a girl. It it was just him and his face and his chubby little body and just everything. It changed our whole family. Emma had a little brother. Alex had a son. I had a son. And it was so exciting. And bringing him home and living that life with your older child and now your newborn, and everything was just wonderful. I have a great job and a beautiful home, and my husband just got promoted at work, and everything is just perfect. And it's very hard for me to share this story, but I feel like I want to and that I need to. Tatum, I can't even explain him. If you knew him, you loved him right away. And if you didn't, you can look at pictures and you can just see how much he made everybody so happy. And if you had had the chance to meet him, you would have loved him just as much as everybody else. And it's it's been a really hard road, but I feel like I need to share this special story and share with you what happened to my son and to our lives and everything that changed us. And we're different now. We're still ourselves, and I can feel parts of me from before coming back out, but it's not me. It's not who I used to be. I don't feel the same way about things anymore. I don't understand a lot, and I don't know what to do about it. And I finally got some answers, and I think that's something that is very special, and I don't think a lot of people get that. And for what happened to me, I have some peace of mind, which I never thought I would be able to from his passing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what happened the day our son passed, and um, it's obviously something I'm never going to forget, but I I just want you to understand, and I want you to understand what happened to me is life changing. And I know that people are curious, and sometimes things get around that may not be true, and maybe people are wondering if this is or if this isn't. And um, what happened was I was sitting on this porch, on May 4th. And I'm going to guess there was around 6 o'clock, and we had my father and my husband were building a deck to put our hot tub on. And it's right behind me. And my in-laws are here, Bob and Char, and Alex's brother Kyle, and they were on the porch with me while my husband and my father were working on this. And I had asked Alex, because I had just gotten home, if he had checked on Tatum, and he said, yeah, Mom, and I just went and looked on him, and he's still sleeping. So I went and peeked on him, and he was just sleeping, laying on his back. And so I like tiptoed out of the room nice and quiet so I didn't wake him up. And I came back on the porch, and I sat for maybe another 10 minutes. And they started up the saw, and it made a really loud noise. And I was like, well, that definitely woke him up. So I got up, and I went to his door, and I opened it, and I could see his hand through the railings. And I went to him very quickly, and he was face down in his crib, and I did not know what to do. I knew by looking at him that he wasn't breathing, and he hadn't been breathing for a while. And I grabbed him, and just, it's like out of body experience. Like I breathed in his mouth, and I breathed in it, and I screamed for my husband, and everyone came running into the house, and I didn't know what to do, and I just passed him to someone. Like I needed someone to save him. And my dad ran out onto our front yard, and he hollered for people to call 911, and everyone's just breathing into his mouth and yelling and crying, and it was chaotic. And my neighbor from across the road, who I can't thank enough, ran over, performed CPR on Tatum, and the paramedics were right here. The police and the paramedics were here right away. I don't know at that time if it felt like forever or if it felt like they got right there, but now looking back, I feel like they were there very, very quickly. And they just got right to work. And all I remember is sitting on the couch, and I was the furthest one away from Tatum. And I'm sitting on the couch just staring at him, and I can't look at anybody else. I can't talk. I can't think, and I'm just staring at him. And we see the heart monitor, his heart's still beating, and it's going up and down, and his color's coming back, and I'm like, oh my God, like they're gonna save him, like this is unreal that this even happened, but he's going to be okay. So they put him in the ambulance, and my husband and everybody loaded into their cars, and we followed him to the hospital, which was right around the corner. And they rushed Alex and I right in, and we were with him, and everybody else was brought to a private room, and we just sat there, Alex and I, in the room, and we're just off to the side. And I don't know how many people were working on him, maybe 8, maybe 10. It seemed like a lot. So they're, giving him needle after needle after needle, and he's on the monitor, and they're working on him, and we're just sitting there like not even knowing what's going on. And how did this even happen? And why is it happening? Why is it happening to us who we love our children. We love our children more than anything. And Tatum he just made everybody so happy, and you sit there and you're wanting it to all change, and it's not, and that's not fair. I don't understand how this happens to people. And a healthy baby at almost 5 months, it was 2 days before he turned 5 months, and he weighed almost 18 pounds, and he's getting in his 4th tooth, and he's breastfed, and we're doing everything that we can do to make sure that this child is the healthiest he can be, and this happens, and we don't understand why it's happening. And why to him? Why to him? Why to us? Why to my parents and Alex's parents and our daughter? Like she's losing her brother, her only sibling that she has and someone that she loves so much. She's losing him. So, we sat there, and I don't know, I guess when something like this happens, we've never been through anything like this before, there's a person that comes in and they're there to like comfort you. And so it's this tiny lady who is just getting on my nerves, and like I just want to watch my son, and I just need to look for signs that he's going to be okay. And this woman will not stop talking to me. And I asked my husband to please make her stop. And like, I just needed to focus on hoping and praying that he was going to be okay. So the doctor said, that, he's in critical condition and it's very severe. And he said that Dartmouth helicopter was on its way to get Tatum. So we waited, and the helicopter was there very quick, within 10 minutes. And they got him on a stretcher, and they changed everything over so that it could go on the helicopter with him. And there were these two men, I can't even tell you what they look like, that took my child. And we went home and we packed our stuff in we threw like just clothes in a garbage bag, and we're like, we just need to go. But like I needed to stay calm, because if I panicked, it would slow down my process of getting to Tatum. And I knew I had to get to Dartmouth. So I pack his diaper bag because I know he's coming home. And I pack him some outfits, and I pack a cooler of breast milk, and I pack his car seat, everything that we need, because I know that he's coming home with us. So we took 2 vehicles up to Dartmouth. I rode with my mom and my mother-in-law, and Alex rode with my father. About halfway through the trip, I needed to get out, and I needed to be with my dad, and I needed to be with my husband. So I rode the rest of the way there with them. And we got there, and Alex and I are just running. We're running to get to our son. And we finally find, Dartmouth's huge, we finally find his room. And we go in, and he's not in there. And the nurse said he was getting a CAT scan, and that he'll be back in soon. And they came in maybe 5 minutes later, and Tatum's color had returned. His eyes were still shut, and he looked beautiful. And he looked, I don't know, older. He looked different. I don't know. They said the doctor would be right in to talk with us. And she came in just a few minutes later. And she explained to us from the CAT scan that he had been too long without oxygen, and that he was brain dead. And I don't understand. I don't understand how it happened or why it happened. And I miss him. I miss him so much. They had a rocking chair, and I rocked with Tatum for a long time. And Alex did, and my parents held him, and everyone held him, and no one pushed us to do anything or to rush anything. And I asked if they could bring in a hospital bed, and they brought in a bed, and Tatum and I laid together, and we laid together all night long. And I just held him, and I talked to him, and I sang to him, and just told him how proud I am of him, and how he has just changed my life, how I don't know. I'm just so honored to be his mom. So, we had some family coming, some family and some very close friends, and my sister who had just had a baby, I don't know, 4 or 5 days before this happened. And she's there with her new baby and her husband, and they have my daughter, and we're waiting for everyone to come to say goodbye, and everyone wanted a chance to hold him, and they did, and kiss and say goodbye to him. It was awful. It was awful. And I asked when everyone was done, and we took him off life support, and he never even tried taking a breath again. He was gone instantly, and I couldn't let go of him. I needed him, and I couldn't leave him there. He's my son. Why am I gonna leave him and never see him again? So I held him. I held him for hours, and I asked everybody if they would leave the room so I could just have my own time and my goodbye with Tatum. And we went and sat by the window and looked out the window, and I'm crying and I'm singing to him. Just talking to him. Even though he was gone, I just wanted him to hear me so bad. There was a wonderful, I'm not sure what she was called now, but she was someone that was there to help with the family. And I couldn't leave him in this hospital room by himself, just to lay there while he's gone and just have everyone outside of the room going on about their business, and my son is in that room by himself. Even though he's gone, I didn't want him by himself. He's just a baby. So this woman, her name was Kristen. She promised me she would hold him. She promised me she would hold him till they came and got him. And she did. And I left an outfit for him because they were going to bathe him and dress him and then transport him. And she promised me she wouldn't let go of him. Longest ride home of my life. And he passed away. It was May 5th, the week before Mother's Day. About 11 o'clock in the morning, he took his last breath. 2 days shy of him turning 5 months old. And it was awful. I grew up Catholic. I've always believed in God. I've always believed there's more out there. And when Tatum has passed, I hate God. I hate him, and I hate what he has done to my family. And I tell him this 20 times a day, with a lot more worse things that I say to him. I needed to know Tatum was out there, and I'm looking for signs, just something to tell me that he's still with me. Even though people tell me that he is, and that he's an angel and everything. I needed proof. I needed proof to know that he was okay, because I felt like he wouldn't be okay unless he was with me. So, today is October 8th, and yesterday he would have been 10 months old. And on Saturday was 5 months since he's passed. It's been different. It's been hard. It's hard to accept. It's hard to see my husband upset. It's hard to see him cry. It's hard to see my daughter miss her brother and want him. My friend Terry, who I don't even know what I can say about her. Just how amazingly caring she is. Text me and ask me if I would like to go see Teresa Caputo, Long Island Medium, with her in Worcester, Mass. And it was October 6th, and it was right in between the 5th and the 7th, which are my hard days. And I said yes. You know, it's a live show, 2,300 people in the audience. I mean, what are your chances? What are your chances of anything happening? You know, Terry and I, we drove to Mass, and we talked and cried all the way up there, cried the whole time we were there, cried all the way home. But I know everyone's been wondering about my story from what happened at this show with Teresa. And God, I don't even know where to start. We were there and it was exciting and no idea what's going to happen, or, you know, what are your chances? And this is a little baby. What are your chances? She probably did about 10 readings that day. And there was one right in the beginning of a woman that lost her 16-year-old son, and it was beautiful. Everyone's crying, and I think that woman got a lot out of it. And I was so happy for her. There was a couple stories in between that you were kind of like, oh, this is kind of getting boring. Like, these people are kind of weird. Like, she was, like, trying to do a great job, and these people are just, like, I don't know, it's just weird. So, she talked to a granddaughter who had lost her grandma, and that was a really sweet one, and the granddaughter had been really upset losing her grandma, and, you know, that one stuck out. And then there was an older gentleman who lost his wife, and it was a wonderful story to listen to, and I was happy to hear those things. And then she came back down, and she, like, kind of kept getting closer to us, and she said something about, did somebody lose 2 children, or, you know, she started going on, I don't know if it was twins, or it was 2 kids, or boy and girl, or whatever. She started talking about this, and, like, 2 women around me kind of stood up, and she didn't really go anywhere with that, and then she, like, put her hands out like she was holding a baby, and she, like, kept looking, and she's like, I'm seeing a baby boy, who died unexpectedly, and she's, you know, 15 feet from me, and I raised my hand, and there was a woman 2 rows in front of me who raised her hand also. And she said this was recent. And the woman that had raised her hand also was an older woman. She's, I don't know, 50s, 60s. So she had put her hand back down, and I am crying at this point because there's 2,300 people, and she, in 2 hours, did like 10 readings. And how is this little boy going to come through? How is he going to do this? And do I really believe in this? And I just didn't know what to think. And I'm crying and shocked, and there's like a gigantic screen in like the whole theater, and like I'm on it, and I'm bawling my eyes out, and they hand me a microphone, and she said, you lost your son unexpectedly. And I said yes, it was from SIDS. She then went on to talk about how hard of a time I had leaving him at the hospital. When she talked about that, nobody knew that. Nobody knew that but the few family members that were there. You know, everyone else had kind of gone home, and the friends and everything, and, you know, I was left with my parents and Alex's parents and Alex, and I could not leave my son. And she knew that. And she said at that time Tatum was with me. He knew everything that I had said to him. He was there watching what was happening. And I'm glad to know that he heard what I said to him, because I meant everything. And I wanted him to hear it. I just didn't know if he was. And now I know that he did hear me. She said that I've been feeling guilty. She knows that I'm feeling guilty. And she knows about me losing my faith. And she said that was okay. She said it is okay that you have lost your faith. When you are ready, God's always going to be there, and he will be there for me when I accept him again. And I never thought I would. But it's different now. I'm still angry at him, and I still hate him for what he did to us. But I love him for giving me Tatum. And I love him for giving me this last gift of Teresa. And Teresa, you know, telling me all of these wonderful things that I needed to hear. I was crying, and I was crying very hard. And this is the hardest part of the whole thing. But he said, Teresa, will you please just hug my mom for me? And she asked me if she could hug me. And that my son wanted her to. She came right up to me. And she hugged me. And she hugged me so hard. And she had tears in her eyes. And I was crying. Terry and her aunt are right next to me, and crying and shaking and just not even believing that this is happening. She said when your son passed, there was a loud sound that drew you to his crib. And I said, yes, that was the saw. That was when they started up that saw. That's what made me go to his room, because I knew it was going to wake him up. There's not very many people I've told what happened that day to. She just knew. She knew those little things that were important and unbelievable, that she knew them. She told me that Tatum's spirit is still growing. She said, you and your husband are trying to get pregnant again. I said, yes, we're trying right now. And she said, you will have more children. You will have more children. And this will not happen to you again. She said, part of Tatum wants me to know that part of his spirit will be in our next child. And for her to say that to me is life-changing. Because we've always wanted a house full of kids, and I have said since we've been trying that it's not going to be Tatum, and I'm going to want it to be. So I'm having a really hard time with that, and hearing that he will be part of our next child is probably the best thing that I could have heard. I didn't know how I'd feel doing this all over again. We're scared. We're scared to death that something like this could happen again, and I don't even understand how it happened in the first place. I have since losing Tatum, have had a really hard time seeing him, feeling him, picturing him in my mind. And she knew that, and she had said to me, "You recently had a dream or a feeling that he was with you." And I said, "I haven't been able to dream of him since he passed. But a couple weeks ago, I had a dream of him, and it was my father holding him." My father's alive, but obviously, and he was in my father's arms, and I went up to him, and I went up to Tatum, and I just kind of tickled his belly, and I smiled at him, and he just gave me that amazing smile. I woke up, and I was so happy that I saw him. I, I try to picture his face, and I picture pictures. I don't picture him, his actual movements and his laugh and his cry, and feel like I'm forgetting those things. And I don't want to. I don't want to at all. Um, the next thing that she said to me, and this, just everything that she knew. She asked me if we had a memory garden, or memory tree, or memory bench. She said she was seeing frogs and turtles, and that is her symbol for a pond. And when she was asking me if we have these things, we have every single one of them. We have a beautiful memory bench that we were given. We've gotten 3 memory trees from very special people. And we have a pond, a water fountain into a little pond. All in our area for Tatum. And the fact that she knew we had all that stuff, I just don't even know. I don't even know how she did. So she's still talking to me, and we're, she's just a foot away from me, and we're talking, and I'm crying and trying to talk into the microphone because that's what they want, and I can't even think of what I'm doing. I'm just listening to her talk about all of this stuff. And she asked me about Prince. She said, "Is there some kind of print with you, or Prince, or something?" And I said, "Yes, I have his footprints." And she knew that they were my footprints on the back. I have them tattooed on my shoulder, his footprints from the hospital. And she knew that. And I was covered up. I had a long, sweater on, and I just couldn't believe everything that she knew. It was an unbelievable experience, and the best part of it was her telling me that Tatum needed to hug his mother. I have needed to know that Tatum was okay this entire time. And I'm still not okay that he's gone, but I know he's still with me now, and I didn't know that before. And I'm still angry at God, and I'm still angry at what happened. But I know that I can love him again. I'm not sure if I do yet, but I will. I just wanted to share Tatum's story, and I just want people to know how special he was, and people to know about him and everything. I'll never forget him, and I don't want anybody else to either. And I don't know, just want him to know that I love him, and that his father loves him, and everybody does. And we know he's there. We know he's there now, listening to us, and we can continue to talk to him, and he's gonna be there. So, thank you.